Here's something doctors know that most men never talk about. Stress from work, money, and family doesn't just disappear at night. It follows you into the bedroom. It can be lying next to the woman you have loved for years, and suddenly your mind will not let your body do what it has always done naturally. For situations like that, doctors look for treatments that help both body and the brain, and that's where Rougiette Ready comes in. Unlike Viagra and Cialis, Rougiette Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment designed to help increase blood flow and prime your brain for arousal. It combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. Most men are ready in about 15 minutes, so you can stay present, confident, and in control when the moment is right. Over 400,000 men have already made the switch to Rougiette. Getting started is simple. Rougiette connects you with a board-certified doctor online, and your treatment ships discreetly to your door. For a limited time only, head to rougiette.com/dogs to get 15% off your order. That's Rougiette, RUGIET.com/dogs to get 15% off. Make sure to use our link so they know we sent you. Rougiette.com/dogs.
Did you know using your browser in incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy? Take back your privacy with IPVanish VPN. Just one tap and all your data, passwords, communications, browsing history, and more will be instantly protected. IPVanish makes you virtually invisible online. Use IPVanish on all your devices, anytime you go online at home and especially on public Wi-Fi. Get IPVanish now for 70% off a yearly plan with this exclusive offer at ipvanish.com/audio.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh All, your host today. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope your week has gone well. You're ready for the weekend. And I don't know where you guys are at in the country or in the world listening to this, but I know here in Ohio, where I'm at, it is rainy and dreary, but I gotta tell you, I don't mind that much because it's warm. It is upper 50s, 60s. Get rid of that 20s and below, the single-digit bull crap that we've been going through. It's feeling more and more like spring, and with spring, as Browns fans and football fans, we know what is coming our way, and it's the NFL draft. That's right. Today is mock draft 5.0, my 5th mock draft released this pre-draft season, and today we are going to take into account things from the NFL Combine that have come out, rumors, and all that kind of stuff. So it's the post-NFL Combine, pre-free agency mock draft. It'll be the last one I do before the Browns start making moves in free agency, and we get a little bit more clarity on how this roster is going to look heading into April for the actual draft coming our way. So I'm going to dive into that today, and then after the draft, as always, we're going to hit into your voicemails and messages that you guys have sent in. Before I head over to the mock draft, make sure you guys go to jointhedogs.com, become a part of the official Dog Pack community, the private Discord, hang out in there with us and with all of the diehard Browns fans from around the world who are in the Dog Pack community. It's a great place to be. We do Dog Pack Discord live shows, usually about once a week in there, where you guys get to come on stage and ask questions and talk to us and chat it up and all that kind of fun stuff. And then you get to play fantasy football with us. And those, the signups for that will open up here in June, which, again, we're rolling into spring. We're not that far away. So jointhedogs.com to get in there. Okay, I really don't have any news or information to go through today, so I just want to go right into the mock draft. And for today's mock draft purposes, I want you guys to understand, I am still very, very much an advocate for Carnell Tate at number 6. I think the Browns have got to get a locked-in, surefire, go-to wide receiver target for this team, and I think Carnell Tate he is just a pro wide receiver ready to come into an NFL offense and be the guy. That's what I believe. I've believed it this entire time, and absolutely nothing through the pre-draft process has changed my opinion on that. But coming out of Indianapolis in the NFL Combine, a lot of smoke, buzz, hype, whatever you want to call it, around the Browns, really focusing in on tackle. So today I want to do a mock draft where we go offensive tackle first and see how the rest of the draft then might be able to play out if the Browns were to do that. So if you remember like the last mock draft, it was the whole, should the Browns take Caleb Downs at number 6, all this kind of stuff. So I did a mock draft where, okay, if they go Caleb Downs at 6, here's how the rest could play out. Same kind of concept today. If we go offensive tackle first, how's the rest of the draft potentially going to go for the Browns? So real quick before we start, after the Tytus Howard trade earlier this week, the Browns have 9 picks in the upcoming draft. They have pick 6, 24, 39, and pick 70 in the top 100. Those ones are locked into place. 6, 24, 39, and 70. Now, after the top 100, the picks are subject to change, slightly based on the compensatory picks that the NFL will be awarding to other teams and things like that ahead of us. So right now, as it projects, the rest of the picks for the Browns are 107, 145, 205, and 248. So those are the picks we will be making today. So to kick off Mock Draft 5.0, the Cleveland Browns at pick 6. Again, no trades projected in this one. I wanted to do some trades here in the first round. I think I might dive into that on the next mock, but for today's purposes, we're sticking at 6. And we're actually going to go Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle, the left tackle out of Georgia. Freeling is 6'7", 315 pounds. This dude, I'm not going to get into combine performances for everybody, but for Freeling here with the 6th pick, I want to talk about it. He ran a 4.93 40. He had a 1.71 10-yard split, 33.5-inch vertical, and a 9'7" broad jump. He is athletic as hell. He rocked an 85.1 pass block grade per PFF, allowed just 6 pressures. Yes, single-digit 6 pressures and only 2 sacks all season in the SEC. And this was his first year starting at left tackle for the Bulldogs. So for a 1-year starter, I know that's kind of the hang-up with him in some draft circles as well. The longevity of experience isn't really there with Freeling. But, man, for the 1 year that he did start at left tackle, he held down that spot and performed extremely well. And like I said, that was at left tackle. So this isn't a kid that we draft and then we have to force him over to the opposite side of the ball where he played in college and make him play right tackle, or, make him a right tackle and change him over to left tackle. He is a locked-in left tackle. NFL draft profile. Freeling offers coveted length and athleticism at left tackle with only 16 career starts. Filling out his frame and improving his technique should be early priorities. His quickness brings first phase positioning advantages, but he needs more play strength to carry that over to block, sustain, and finish. Lunging and deadening feet post-punch must be coached out of his muscle memory and pass protection so his athleticism and his length can do their jobs. Independent hand usage and a reliable snatch and trap could instantly bolster his success rate. There is some buyer beware on tape, but if it's smoothed out, he has the ceiling of a quality NFL starter. This is from his NFL draft profile. Long-limbed with a frame that can add mass, possesses plus athletic ability for the position, has the initial quickness to make all the moves or all the move blocks asked of him, continues pressing forward to stay connected longer to his blocks. Protection improved noticeably as the season progressed. Good fluidity when switching off and mirroring twisters, redirects his feet quickly to meet inside moves at the B-gap, and he runs like a tight end as a lead blocker into spring slip screens. If you guys have seen any highlight videos, reels, anything like that, I think Jake Burns has posted some good stuff on X. Go check that out. Monroe Freeling is a freaking athletic dog at left tackle. So it's a situation where, as we were doing mock drafts a month and a half ago, we could get Monroe Freeling. And I base, again, everything I do off Mock Draft Database, the aggregate of the industry mock drafts, where these guys are, on average, projected to go. Month and a half ago, he was a guy we were looking at like pick 39. Most recently, it's like, okay, the Browns could probably, we could take him at pick 24. He's kind of projected, early second round, late first round range. Nope. Right now, he is already skyrocketed up draft boards. Right now on Mock Draft Database, projected to go 17th to the Detroit Lions. So if the Browns want him and they're not able to trade back to like 10 or 12 or something like that and try to recoup some other draft capital or future assets and then still get Monroe Freeling, if they're stuck picking at 6, they're going to have to take him at 6. Otherwise, he will not be there at pick 24. Segue moving into pick 24. So since we bypassed wide receiver, we did not go Carnell Tate. You know, it's interesting because I do think there might be a possibility. Obviously, we have pro days and everything coming up in March here and all that kind of stuff. So things are going to change. The mock draft database, draft board, consensus board, it's gonna move. Players are going to keep moving around. A guy like Jordan Tyson could end up falling to the later part of the first round, maybe even to that pick 24 where the Browns are picking. Right now, that's not where he's projected to go. So at pick 24, I still want a wide receiver, and I'm going to take one of my favorite wide receivers. Took him in the last mock, so you guys are familiar with the name. It's Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver out of Indiana. He is 6 feet, 200 pounds. He ran a 4.42 40 at the combine, a 1.55 10-yard split, and a 37-inch vertical. He posted 69 receptions, 937 yards, 13 touchdowns in 2025. Actually had 14. One of them was a rushing touchdown. 494 of his yards came after the catch. He had a 7.2 yards after catch per reception. That's one of the highest in this draft class. And he had a 2.55 yards per route run. That's a great number, a great spot that I like to see for these receivers. And he had just 3 drops all season long. His contested catch rate could be better. Caught just 7 of 14 contested catch passes for 50% rate. But the number I love, and I believe this is the highest among this entire draft class that I've seen, 27 missed tackles forced. The dude catches the ball, breaks tackles, makes guys miss, and he is a freaking demon in the open field. I love Omar Cooper Jr. Lance Zierlein at NFL.com comps him to Deebo Samuel. Play style in the NFL. His NFL draft profile. Big, strong target whose 2-year rise is bolstered by translatable tape. While he was a full-time slot receiver in 2025, Cooper has played outside as well. He can stem and drive past press with his strength. He has potent early acceleration to climb past nickelbacks into top position to challenge deep. His routes lack polish, and he has average in and out quickness at breakpoints, but he is rugged once the ball is in his hands. His ability to add yards after catch could earn Cooper more carries than we saw from him at Indiana. Fighting for catch space and blocking for the running game are areas where he needs improvement. Cooper is an ascending slot bully with day 2 value. And I'm telling you guys, by the time it's all said and done, I will not be surprised to see Omar Cooper Jr. sneak into the back end of the first round. I think he could be a first round pick for sure. And right here, we're taking him in the first round because, again, like Monroe Freeling, Cooper, a guy, I just don't think that he'll be available at the next pick. I don't think Freeling would be available at 24, so you got to take him earlier. I don't think Cooper will be available at 39, so I think you got to take him here. So some other things about Omar Cooper real quick. He posted 20 touchdown catches since the start of 2024. He is a touchdown machine. He welcomes physical play. He wins through contact. He's versatile enough to be more than just a slot option. So if you hear people say, he's a slot only player. No, he's not. No, he's not just a slot only player. He can be moved around the formation, and that is a great trait for these players, for these wide receivers. He creates lateral separation when beating press, digs hard through drive phase before snapping his head around, first and second acceleration catches defenders off guard, explosive leaper who can pluck high throws at their apex. Remember, the freaking catch of the season of the college football season was Omar Cooper Jr. in the back of the end zone on that touchdown pass from Fernando Mendoza to beat Penn State. It was if you didn't see the catch, which I don't know how anybody didn't at this point, but go watch it. Go YouTube the highlight catch from Omar Cooper Jr. where I don't know how he caught the ball and got both feet and bound. Like, it was insane. But he's a rugged runner who can break free from multiple tacklers. I've been higher on Omar Cooper Jr. throughout this process, but now the draft boards are really catching up to this, and I think I would be totally great if the Browns grabbed him here at pick 24, so that's what we're doing in today's mock draft.
This episode is partnered with Kalshi,
Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay just to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Will Shedeur Sanders be the Browns' Week 1 starting quarterback? Will Fernando Mendoza be the first overall pick in the draft? Will the Browns make their pick at 6, or will they trade out of that spot? And in other sports, will the Cavs win the NBA Finals? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $10 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs and trades $100. Get away from disadvantageous sports books and dive into real-world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to Kalshi, KALSHI.com/dogs, DAWGS, or just click the link in the description to get $10 when you trade $100 with Kalshi. Because why shouldn't you get paid for being right? Here's something doctors know that most men never talk about. Stress from work, money, and family doesn't just disappear at night. It follows you into the bedroom. It can be lying next to the woman you have loved for years, and suddenly your mind will not let your body do what it has always done naturally. For situations like that, doctors look for treatments that help both body and the brain, and that's where Rougiette Ready comes in. Unlike Viagra and Cialis, Rougiette Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment designed to help increase blood flow and prime your brain for arousal. It combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. Most men are ready in about 15 minutes, so you can stay present, confident, and in control when the moment is right. Over 400,000 men have already made the switch to Rougiette. Getting started is simple. Rougiette connects you with a board-certified doctor online, and your treatment ships discreetly to your door. For a limited time only, head to Rougiette.com/dogs to get 15% off your order. That's Rougiette, RUGIET.com/dogs to get 15% off. Make sure to use our link so they know we sent you. Rougiette.com/dogs.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
All right, pick 39, moving into the second round. Let's go back into the trenches for the Cleveland Browns, the offensive line that desperately needs to continue this overhaul to get young, just dog-style players back on that offensive line. Pick 39 is going to be Chase Bisontis, offensive guard out of Texas A&M. The Browns add more help and youth to this offensive line. Bisontis, he is 6'5", 315 pounds. NFL Draft Profile says Bisontis is a tough, well-schooled guard. He lacks ideal length, but he brings heavy hands, good footwork, and plus core strength to the table. He plays with ideal strain and stickiness to sustain blocks. He has plenty of nasty when he needs it too. I love hearing that about my offensive linemen. He's consistent as a move/zone blocker and when working downhill. He can be outreached, stacked, and shed when his hands aren't first. While he provides poise and good technique as a run blocker, there are slight levels of anxiety/hurry in his pass protection, with his lack of length a contributing factor. In general, his protection meets the mark and pairs nicely with his run blocking. Bisontis projects as a future starter with plenty of upside. That's what I'm looking for on my offensive line here in the draft. Chase Bisontis, one of my favorite interior offensive linemen in this draft class, and here we're taking him at 39. Again, balance and core strength provide longer connection to the block. He settles his feet, strikes with inside hands, and unlocks his hips into his target. He's able to gather, adjust, and land against moving targets in space. His initial quickness to climb and seal or make backside cutoff blocks. He pairs his technique with churning feet for optimal double team displacement, keeps his feet active and sliding to stay mirrored to movement, uses downward chops to wipe out rushers' long arm push, displays ability to redirect an edge rush off the track, and he can bounce and drop a shadow anchor when needed. I think this is a great fit for the Browns. We are now really working on this offensive line. So we got Titus Howard projected at right tackle. We just took Monroe Freeling, is going to start at left tackle. And now we've got our other starter. Remember, we talked about this in previous episodes. We're probably going to need 3 veterans that we need to sign or trade for on this offensive line. You don't want to start more than probably 2 rookies on your O-line. So Chase Besantis at one of the guard spots becomes that other rookie that the Browns are going to go with here in the draft at pick 39. Okay, moving on now. Pick 70. The Browns are going to take their first defensive player today. It's Keontae Scott, cornerback out of Miami, 5'11", 193 in 2025. At Miami, Keontae Scott had 64 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. This kid had 5 sacks, okay? There are edge rushers in this draft class who didn't have 5 sacks all last season. Keontae Scott also had 2 picks, 110 interception return yards because both of them were pick sixes to the house. He had 5 pass breakups to go along with it. Lance Zierlein comps him to Elijah Molden in the NFL. His NFL draft profile says that Scott's his play style and tackle production resemble that of a will linebacker. He's edgy and urgent near the line with an ability to slip or play off of blocks. He can snuff out run plays before they get started. Scott lacks ball production due to inconsistent break anticipation and route squeeze, but he can twitch and trigger to close windows, wrap and finish. He keeps yards after contact to a minimum. Scott's blitz talent, the 5 sacks off the edge, makes him a value-added rusher. He's an older prospect, and he needs to play in a scheme that allows him to keep his eyes forward, but Scott's football character should make him a team favorite as a starting nickelback. He brings culture-changing mentality and leadership. I love that note about him. Posted again 64 tackles during the 2025 season, 13 TFLs in college football last year. He plays with nimble feet and sudden change of direction in space, twitchy trigger and burst from a standstill, rushes in, wraps and finishes before yards are added after the catch, displays rare strength and intensity to fight off bigger blockers, lowers his missed tackle rate by closing tight before igniting the tackle, and he blitzes off the edge with plenty of heat. I am just very excited about what a guy like Keontae Scott could do here in Cleveland. Now, again, he's already 24 years old, so he might be beyond the age guardrails for Andrew Berry, though we have seen Andrew Berry stretch those guardrails, those boundaries a little more in recent drafts, where in the past he'd been pretty strict to those age guardrails earlier in his GM tenure. But here at pick 70, the Browns grab a solid corner to add to the backfield with Denzel Ward and Tyson Campbell on the outside. Scott can come into the slot to the nickelback role and be effective in that role. I really want to see what this kid could do, what he could be with Mike Rutenberg, whose specialty is the secondary and developing those players. I really like the idea of drafting Keontae Scott here at pick 70. And then moving to pick 107, we're sticking with defense because, again, I know we want all these offensive players. I do too. Guys, if you watched the roster breakdown episode that I did a week or 2 ago, we need players at every single position. So we got to get guys, and this is a spot we definitely need players. So at 107, we're taking Harold Perkins Jr., the linebacker out of LSU. Now, this is a spot, according to current mock draft database projections, the Browns could possibly explore a trade back a little bit, a few spots here or there, and still be able to take Harold Perkins. But for the sake of this mock draft, We're just going to take our outside linebacker right here at 107. So Harold Perkins, 21 years old, 6'1", 223 pounds. So kind of picture JOK size when you're thinking about Harold Perkins as a linebacker. Again, draft profile here, slightly undersized off-ball linebacker with solid 2025 production, but less in-game impact than he showed in 2022 and 2023 before he tore his ACL in 2024. Perkins is decisive against the run and knifes into the backfield when lanes open. He's adequate in block take-ons and finishes tackles near the line with good physicality. He can still run, but lacks his previous explosiveness in closeouts and pursuits. His instincts in space are average and he can get lost in coverage, but he has the athletic ability coverage requires. Perkins is at his best when deployed in a scheme that allows him to play free and attack the line as often as possible. Now listen to this. Harold Perkins Jr. posted 35 and a half. I guess they do halves in college. 35 and a half tackles for loss. 17 sacks and 8 forced fumbles over his 4 seasons. And he missed a lot of time with that torn ACL. So a lot of that production was in his first 2 seasons as a freshman and a sophomore. He reads run and scrapes to the line to compress the front, lands a crisp 2-hand punch to stay clean against blocks, adequate burst in short spaces to close on lane development, sifts through route development to locate zone landmarks, triggers a well-timed blitz to harass the pocket, accelerates through contact to finish tackles near the line. Yes, let's get guys on the ground, please. I love guys who can tackle. Was a special teams demon his freshman season. So, again, his production was legit as a freshman and a sophomore. Again, tore his ACL in 2024, so it makes sense he wouldn't be back to 100% form in 2025. But here we go. We're going into 2026. He's going to be 2 years removed from that injury. That is what we like to see, the 2 years removed from the injury. Plus, he is super young. Again, just 21 years old. So that injury at this stage in his career makes me confident that the injury is fully behind him. I really like the idea of adding Harold Perkins Jr. to the linebacking unit alongside Carson Swessinger. All right, we'll pick up the pace here a little bit. Pick 145. We're going back to the offense. It's Oscar Delp, tight end out of Georgia. So the Browns add another Georgia Bulldog to the dog pound, along with teammate Monroe Freeling. Delp, he is 6'5", 245 pounds. At the NFL Combine, Oscar Delp talked about his time at Georgia when Todd Monken was the OC there and how he would love to play for Todd Monken in the NFL. His draft profile says that Delp is a fluid athlete with the forward lean, short area quickness, and pure speed to beat linebackers on intermediate routes. His soft hands and smooth catch skills show up on the move, though his short arms and inconsistent finish through contact do limit his reliability. He has enough toughness and technique to help in the run game as he continues to improve his strength. Delp projects as a day 3 prospect with 3 down potential and untapped upside as a pass catcher. That is the kind of profile I'm looking for at a tight end in this range of the draft. I think Oscar Delp would be an excellent addition to the roster at tight end. Harold Fanden Jr. continues to be that move tight end, the wild card player on offense who can just line up all over the field, just a pure weapon on offense. And Oscar Delp then can contribute in multiple tight end sets. He can play in line to help with blocking and can also get out in space and make plays in the passing game when needed. I'm really high on Oscar Delp, so we're going to reunite him right here with Todd Monken in Cleveland at pick 144. All right, pick 148, more trench time for the Browns. We're taking Pat Coogan, the center from Indiana, 6'5", 311 pounds. His profile says that Coogan is a veteran center with good size, intelligence, communication skills, and leadership that will appeal to offensive line coaches in the NFL. He is technically sound and is consistent in centering opponents while latching in with grip strength to increase stickiness. He's best in a gap scheme and inside zone, but his effectiveness can fade when the job stretches beyond the A-gaps. In protection, he lands well-timed punches, utilizes instinctive hand resets to regain positioning. However, forward lean and shorter arms will invite counters. Coogan has the potential to become a starter in the NFL, but there are limitations in his game that make scheme fit and protection help important, okay? So they say he dips his hips, drives through down block targets, keeps his hands tight, providing added control at the point, stays square with his eyes to the linebacker on workup blocks. He slides his hips into place to secure on ace blocks, uses independent hands with good timing and pop. He gets to his resets quickly and helps regain his positioning, and his base width never changes when mirroring his defender. Now, if the Browns are unable to land a guy like Tyler Linderbaum in free agency at center, I think a guy like Pat Coogan would be a very good target for them in the draft to develop and hope that he turns into that eventual starting center for this offensive line. The Browns could then, we can still sign a veteran starter in free agency at the center position, maybe a 1, maybe 2 year cheaper deal with Pat Coogan waiting in the wings to be that next man up. So here we go. Pick 148 is Pat Coogan, the center from Indiana. All right, 2 picks left, and this is 205. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on these last 2 picks. These picks are very likely going to be dealt either before or during the draft, so there's a good chance the Browns won't even make these picks at 205. And what's the last one, 248? 205 and 248. But at 205, if we do keep the pick, this is where if you want to swing at a quarterback in this draft, then just go ahead and swing, because again, a lot of these picks from 205 to the end of the draft might not even make your roster if you do pick them. You're probably trading these picks for future assets, compiling your priority undrafted free agent list during this part of the draft. So you're really not even worrying about who you're going to draft. You're more thinking, okay, who are we signing as soon as this thing is over? Let's move these picks, yada, yada, yada. But for the sake of a little bit of fun, a little intrigue, and for the sake of our mock draft here, let's just go ahead and swing at quarterback. And it's kind of funny because this guy that I'm about to mock here to the Browns is being projected right now in mock draft database around this pick 205. And what's funny about it is last September, he was being mocked to the Browns at number 1 overall in the entire draft. And we're going to take Cade Klubnik, the quarterback from Clemson. 6'2", 207. His profile says much was expected of Klubnik after a strong showing in 2024, but his play and production declined in 2025. He's undersized but athletic, shows an ability to attack zone windows with adequate velocity over the first 2 levels. Klubnik can make some timing throws with anticipation when he's in rhythm. However, when the first read isn't there, his field vision becomes average and he's not good enough off-platform / out of structure to succeed at a high enough rate. The accuracy numbers to most areas of the field fall below the mark, but tape study shows a high drop count by his receivers, so that does add to that completion percentage number. While his designed run production fell off in 2025, he remains pocket mobile, avoiding sacks and exploiting rushing lanes. Maintaining poise and mechanics are essential, so finding a short passing attack with a competent run game feels like a must for Cade Klubnik. They said his ball comes out with a quick, compact release. He has good anticipation and rhythm on his timing throws. He can dart passes into zone windows when sitting down on his throws. He allows big receivers a chance to make a play over smaller corners, floats deep sideline throws with better accuracy than his stats might suggest. Production and completion percentage were hurt by excessive drops. Shows ability to manage and manipulate the rush with his feet, and he has quick acceleration to escape closing rush and go get yards on the ground. In 2025, he had a 65.6 completion rate, 2,943 yards, 16 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Now compare that to his 2024 campaign in which he posted a 63.4 completion rate, but he had 3,639 yards, 36 touchdowns, 20 more touchdowns in 2024 than what he posted in 2025. And again, just 6 interceptions. So am I sitting here pounding the table for the Browns to draft a quarterback in this draft in April? No. Nope. I'm pretty stout against using one of those mid-range picks on a quarterback. Go get some freaking players even if it's just depth players for this roster, because God knows we need them. We do not need more backup quarterbacks. But like I said, here at pick 205, it's a pick they're probably not going to have anyway. And if Cade Klubnik's on the board and they want to take this swing, I mean, he's an athletic quarterback. He's mobile. He can do things. And, you know, the 2024 stats were good enough in his play and everything that he did on the field that people were industry mocks. We're putting him to the Browns number 1 overall in the draft. Okay? So, yes, things fell off the table in 2025 for Cade Klubnik, but it might still be worth it here. So, with these late picks in the draft, why the hell not? He was projected, like I said, as a first-round pick a year ago. At this time, so, you know, the juice is worth the squeeze for me here at 205 to see if anything might come of it. All right, let's wrap this thing up. The final pick, 248, we're going with Devin Eastern, defensive tackle out of Minnesota. We're going to go to the trenches now, but on the other side of the ball, 6'5", 315 pounds. Eastern was a 3-year starter with a long wingspan, but inconsistencies in his game and a lack of standout production. Eastern plays with loose upper body movement that helps him slip blocks and find gaps. He uses his length effectively to disengage when he times it right. However, his high-cut frame and below-average pad level create persistent issues, anchoring and maintaining gap integrity, especially against zone blocks. He ends up on the ground too often and hasn't proven he can create consistent pressure as a rusher. Eastern's size and length might be best utilized in a wider alignment as an odd front end. He's a 3-year starter with long arms. Technique to sink low and corkscrew lowers against double teams. Slips off blocks and into gaps using loose upper body, gets into centers quickly with good first step forward, uses length to disengage and shove free from the block. So the Browns, here we go. We add a guy late in the draft on the defensive line. Again, no guarantee that these late picks will even end up making the roster, especially when we've got so many young guys and undrafted free agents and things like that coming in anyway. So again, don't get too worked up over these picks because we likely won't even have them when the time rolls around. But there you go, guys. That's your mock draft 5.0 here for the Cleveland Browns. To recap, at pick 6 in the first round, we go Monroe Freeling, left tackle out of Georgia. Pick 24 is Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver out of Indiana. Pick 39, back to the O-line, Chase Besantis, offensive guard out of Texas A&M. And then we move on to pick 70. We get Keontae Scott, cornerback out of Miami. Some help for that defensive backfield. Pick 107, back with the defense, Harold Perkins Jr., linebacker out of LSU. Pick 145 on the offensive side of the ball. We get some tight end help. Oscar Delp, tight end out of Georgia. I swear I'm not doing these rhymes on purpose, guys. They're just kind of coming out. Pick 148, Pat Coogan, the center from Indiana. And then with pick 205, we're swinging at quarterback Cade Klubnik out of Clemson. And then to wrap it up, 248 is Devin Eastern, the defensive tackle out of Minnesota. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. How did this mock draft go? Would you like it if these were the results? If the Browns were to go offensive tackle first in the draft, whether it's a Francis Mauigoa or they go with Caleb Loma, or I guess it wouldn't be Loma, it would be Spencer Fano. Although I'm seeing a lot in the mock drafts and everything where now Spencer Fano, who was projected as maybe one of those, the top 1 or 2 tackles in the class, he's fallen down the board a little bit. And I think it had something to do with his measurables at the combine and the fact that he might end up having to move into guard, which we have also seen that speculation about Mauigoa. Again, if you're going to use pick 6 on an offensive lineman, you want it to be a tackle at that high in the draft. You don't want it to be a guy who's going to play guard. So you got to be pretty sure, at least in my opinion, that if you're taking Fano or Mauigoa, which for me it would be probably order Mauigoa and then Fano, you better be pretty sure that they can play tackle for you on your offensive line. But if you want a true, pure left tackle in this draft, you're going to take Monroe Freeling in the first round. And again, while some of those other guys like Fano are starting to slip down the board, Monroe Freeling is skyrocketing up. So that's what we did today. Started off with offensive tackle. Let me know how you guys feel the rest of the draft went. Would you go Monroe Freeling or one of the other offensive linemen at pick 6, or would you rather do what I want to do and stay with Carnell Tate or one of the other top receivers at 6? So let me know what you guys think in the draft. We're going to take a short break, and on the other side of the break, your voicemails and messages. This episode is brought to you by Bodden Sports. Browns fans, Bodden Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Bodden started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Bodden has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Bodden has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Bodden makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Bodden even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard game section of Bodden's website where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Bodden Sports, BADEN Sports.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DOGS when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. BoddenSports.com/dogs. All right, thanks for hanging around, guys. It's time to hear what you guys have to say right now this week about the Browns. So the first one here is a message from Jordan on the website. Again, if you guys want to get your voicemails, messages, go to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu, just scroll down wherever. There's a couple spots where you can do it. You can record your voicemail, send it in, listen to it, re-record, whatever you want to do. And if you don't like the sound of your voice or whatever, you don't want to send a voicemail in, you can always type up a message like Jordan did here and send it in. And what Jordan said, huge fan of the show and a longtime listener. We appreciate that, Jordan. He says, I am personally rooting for one of the big 3 wide receivers at number 6 and an offensive tackle at pick 24. Worst case scenario to me is Ty Simpson with an early pick, and he sends a puking emoji. Also, you guys should check out the website, sticktothemodel.com. It's similar to Mock Draft Database, but you can do a full offseason rebuild and everything is pretty accurate. It would be a cool idea for an episode to do a full offseason rebuild. I agree. I've looked at Stick to the Model and I've even thought about that too, Jordan. I love that suggestion of doing a full episode where we just go through and do a full offseason rebuild. The problem with doing that is now free agency already opens up on Monday, so things are already going to get rolling. The Browns are going to be signing people, so it's a little bit late for us to do something like that. And the problem is when I was looking into doing it, again, I lost like 2.5 weeks of my life here in February being sick and then moving to the new house and trying to get everything set up. It has been a nightmare. So stick to the model. That might be something we look into doing next year a few times on the show, doing some episodes where we do a full offseason rebuild. And I think that would be a lot of fun. So great suggestion there. And you agree with me apparently here that you're rooting for one of the big 3 wide receivers at 6. For me, it's Carnell Tate. And if he goes at pick, 4 or 5 to one of the teams in front of us, the Titans or the Giants or somebody, I'd be okay with Mekhi Lemon. I know he had that like snaky cobra weird interview stuff at the NFL Combine, but the dude is just a freaking menace on the field. Jordan Tyson, I struggle. I am struggling with Jordan Tyson because I know that like if he didn't have the injury and the medicals, all those concerns and stuff, I think Jordan Tyson would probably be the locked in number 1 receiver in this draft. He's probably the most complete receiver, the most dynamic receiver, but there's just some things. I think it was like the yards after catch just weren't as impressive. And actually here, I could probably bring this up real fast for you guys because I got all this data. Jordan Tyson, 6'2", 200. This past season, 61 catches, 711 yards, 8 touchdowns. He definitely showed that scheme versatility, the alignment versatility, 25% in the slot, 75% out wide. The yak was definitely low, 263, a 4.3 yards after catch per reception, 2.37 yards per route run. That's That's good. That's in the range where I like to see it. It's just, you got Carnell Tate was over 3 at 3.02. Makai Lemon was over 3 at 3.13. And then even guys like Denzel Boston and KC Concepcion were 2.44 and 2.46 right after him in this draft. And of course, like Omar Cooper was 2.55. Jordan Tyson's ADOT was 11.7. That's good. Not one of the higher ones in the class, but it's not one of the lower ones either. He only had 1 drop, so that's good to see that he doesn't seem to be plagued by drops. His contested catch rate was low, 7 out of 16 for a 43.8% rate. Again, Carnell Tate, 85.7% contested catch rate, the highest in this draft class. Makai Lemon, 66.7, like he's one of the higher ones. And then Jordan Tyson, only 6 missed tackles forced. That's the same as Carnell Tate. Makai Lemon was at 21. I just talked about Omar Cooper at 27. Like there's just things about Jordan Tyson's game that keep him not on the same level for me as Carnell Tate and Makai Lemon. Then when you throw the injuries in there, you got a guy who's definitely third on my list. But Jordan, thank you for the message. And hope to hear from you again soon. All right, over to the voicemails now. First one today is from our boy Justin.
Friendly Browns fan out here in Jersey. What's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, but expecting a different result. Well, I see the talk here about all this trading around, doing what they always do. Oh, they might trade and get a bunch of second-round picks. Oh, they might do this, they might do that. Well, if you've been doing the same thing year after year after year after year, and the good teams keep their picks and take the good players, then why are you going to keep doing that? They literally are the Cleveland Browns are the actual definition of insanity. It should just go into Webster's. Don't trade up. Please go get Tyson or Tate at 6. Really believe one of them is going to be available at pick 6. And go get your offensive lineman. My order still is Fano, Freeling, and then Proctor. And we just got the Texans guy. We got, 2 big assets to the offensive line that can start right away. We got a huge receiver that you're also has to prove himself before you go give him a large amount of money, right? We go get Harrison or Olave. They're going to want these big contracts. Like, let's get a guy that probably is going to be good, but has to prove himself before we sign him to a big contract, right? Anyway, we'll see what happens. Go Browns. Hoo-hoo.
Yeah, Justin, I feel you, man. The trade back stuff with the Browns, it's always very touchy with Browns fans because we have truly done that over and over and over my entire life. We just always seem to trade back. There's good players on the draft board, and we're just like, nah, we're good. We don't need those elite level players. We'll just trade back, recoup some draft capital, and then draft guys who won't be on the roster in 3 years anyway. So that does tend to be the trend for the Browns, but devil's advocate to that, and I've been talking with some people about this. This is the type of draft where, and again, we are picking 6. So are there elite difference makers for an NFL roster within those first 6 picks? Absolutely. Absolutely. What if a guy like Arvell Reese does slip to number 6? Are you really going to pass on him? David Bailey. I know Ruben Bain has the small arms or whatever, but I still think he's a good player. Maui Noah at tackle. Caleb Downs. Jeremiah Love. Some people say he might be the best football player in this draft. I know we just took Quinshon Judkins, but could you add an elite weapon to your offense like Jeremiah Love? Sonny Styles, who is coming into that conversation now as one of these elite prospects. But once you get out of that, once you get away from those top 6 picks or, these handful, I should say, this handful of blue chip elite cornerstone pieces for an offense or for a roster in the NFL, the rest of your first round, it's okay. But I see why there is enticing nature here to maybe get some other second round picks. Because if you just go, and I'm just looking at who's projected in the second round, you could end up with a guy like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety out of Toledo. I know you probably don't want to take a defensive player that, early in the draft, but we could use that type of player. Maybe a TJ Parker, the edge rusher out of Clemson. If you have multiple second-round picks, maybe you want to bolster your interior defensive line and take Caden McDonald out of Ohio State. Colton Hood, right now, I think he'll probably end up being a first-round pick, but he's currently projected in the second round. Cornerback out of Tennessee. There's Blake Miller, the offensive tackle out of Clemson. Zion Young, edge rusher out of Missouri. Lee Hunter, the D lineman out of Texas Tech. Max Ihenachor, the offensive tackle out of Arizona State. Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard out of Oregon. There's Chris Johnson, the cornerback out of San Diego State that Barry Shuck loved. These are all second-round picks. Chase Pisantis, who I just took in the mock. Chris Brazel, Chris Bell, Malachi Fields, Eli Stowers, Jadarian Price, which, I mean, we wouldn't be taking a running back, but I think he'll definitely be going in this range. D'Angelo Pons, cornerback. Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker. Jennings Dunker, the offensive lineman out of Iowa. Everyone talks about Jake Galday, the linebacker out of Cincinnati. I mean, I am listing off all of these second-round players that, I mean, if you wanted to recoup, and the thing with trading back and trying to get more second-round picks for this draft is you're going to have a first-round grade on 12 guys, 15, 16 guys, maybe max in this draft. And after that, once you get past, say it's 16, once you get past 16 guys that you had first round grades on, everybody after that's going to be a second round grade. Your next batch of players will be second round grades. Are you really going to take them in the first round? That's where these teams struggle with positional value and draft value and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of and if I didn't explain all that, if that was a bad word salad, I apologize. But I do believe that there are a lot of very good players that could be had in the second round this year. That's not the same for every draft. But this is a draft where I do think if they can get some trade partners, trade back, maybe get some picks, in the bank for next year as well, get some added second round picks this year, because the Browns have holes everywhere. We need so many players, so many positions filled. It's insane. So that's why the more second round picks in this draft, I think, could actually help the roster. But again, you got to hit on the picks. You got to hit on them. And we'll see if Andrew Berry can continue to do that. All right, Justin, again, thanks for the voicemail. The next one here is from Claude.
Hey, gang. Claude from Erio. It's been a minute. Just wanted to call in, talk about the QB situation, I guess, a little bit. Couple comments. I hope Shedeur gets to QB1 to at least start the season, because it's exciting to see what he'll come out of the gate with a off season of full preparation, right? So excited to see that. As for Deshaun, I'm content to never see him in a Browns uniform again. But in the meantime, he better be passing out Gatorades, folding towels, you know what I mean? Pulling his weight for the amount of money we're giving him. And then for the draft, I imagine them going wide receiver, O-line, or somewhat in that order. But if you get Ty Simpson, I'm not going to complain about that. That's really about it. Oh, sorry. I did want to say congratulations to the men's and women's hockey team, the U.S. Those were two fantastic hockey games. Neither game was a barn burner. Both nail biters. It was good hockey. Congratulations. We'll see you in 4 years. Go Dogs. Woof, woof.
All right, Claude, thank you. Again, just with everything that's been going on in my life, I didn't even realize, I didn't watch a second of the Olympics this year, and didn't know anything about the hockey. I know Kenny Mack mentioned it the other night on the show. I was like, I don't know, Kenny. I didn't even watch hockey. I'm sorry, man. But that's awesome. Good to know. Good to hear. And then as far as Deshaun Watson, you probably don't want him doing anything with towels, if you know what I'm saying, or at least allegedly. But we'll see what ends up happening there. I do think I'm still on the Shedeur Sanders train. I know I talk about other quarterbacks from time to time, but it's just because that's in the news. That's what's being talked about. People are... It just seems very likely that the Browns are going to add players, veteran, rookie, whatever the case may be, to this room. And what they invest in that player or those players will really dictate how this quarterback competition is going to kick off when it happens and when they get on the field. But man, Shelby Harris just did a podcast this past week talking about he didn't do the podcast, the whole thing, but had a segment where he was talking about Shedeur Sanders. They were asking about that, and he was like, I was impressed with the kid. He said he works his ass off. Shedeur Sanders works his ass off. And he said, there's a lot of stuff, that he just can't control. What people say, what people want to do, what people want to make about him. But like from a longtime NFL veteran, a guy who's well respected in the league, Shelby Harris was very impressed with Shedeur Sanders as a rookie. And for me, it just seems like Shedeur Sanders may not be the top of the top, like elite quarterback potential and that kind of stuff. But we've seen those kind of players come in the league and then never do anything. And to me, it's a lot about what are you willing to put into it. And Shedeur Sanders, by all accounts, is willing to put in everything to being the best quarterback he can be in the NFL. And I think it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work for the Browns, but I think it's going to work for Shedeur Sanders. I think at some point here, whether it's with the Browns or whether we dick around with it too much and don't let him play and whatever, and then he ends up going somewhere else in the next few years, I think it's going to work. I think whether it's like a super high level of quarterback play, that I'm not willing to predict yet. But I think, can he play quality NFL starting quarterback for a team and, playoff caliber football? Yes, I do think that is definitely within the range of outcomes for Shedeur Sanders. So I'm with you. I'm still on the Shedeur Sanders train. I mean, gosh, we got him on a freaking 5th round contract on a rookie deal right now. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see what we can do and go from there. But we'll start getting some more clarity and some more answers here as free agency opens up and we get closer and closer to the NFL draft coming in April. All right, Claude, thank you for the voicemail. Next one here is from Gabriel.
Dogs Podcast. It is your friendly Buccaneers fan, Gabriel, back once again. Sorry, it's been a while since I've sent a voicemail. I've been really busy with life and college. I wanted to ask a question about the draft. In my mock draft, I had you guys at 6 taking Spencer Fano, and then at pick 24 taking Denzel Boston. After hearing the Browns roster breakdown video, I did not realize your defense was as depleted as it was. Do you still want to go offense with pick 6 and pick 24, or do you want to go defense? And also, for a question for Brad Moneymaker, are you the same Brad Moneymaker from the show Finding Bigfoot? Because in the show, the leader of the Bigfoot team is named as Brad Moneymaker. So I just wanted to ask that question. And then also, I do actually have one Cleveland Browns jersey. It is a Puma Tim Couch jersey, and I do have a Browns 1999 patch I'm eventually going to put on it. So one day, maybe if I come on the Discord, I will wear it. And then also a message for Venti. Quit berating Josh all the time, Venti. It's getting annoying. Either that or we will have to settle things. I will have to go Venti on you, Venti. Anyways, that's going to do it for this the voicemail. Go Browns and go Dogs Podcast. Woo-hoo!
All right, Gabriel. Thanks for having my back here against Venti, though. I haven't gotten a message from him here recently since the last one, but always good to hear from Venti. Obviously, I don't know everything, and not everything that I say turns out to be right. My opinions are just opinions. It doesn't mean that I'm right, that I'm wrong, and not everybody agrees with me, and that is totally A-okay. Trust me, I hear it enough in the comments on social media and YouTube and everywhere else, so that's totally fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. We're allowed to have discourse, but appreciate the voicemail. No, I don't want to go defense in the first round. If they did that, I think Browns fans around the world would just completely collapse. I think it would be a riot. Would not be good. I think that we need cornerstone starting pieces on offense. We need capable starters and depth pieces on defense. So that's why I wouldn't go defense in the first round unless, like I said earlier, if you're sitting at 6 and a guy like Arvell Reese falls and nobody before you takes him, it's like, man, how do you pass that up? And it's tough. It really is. But I do think it's got to be wide receiver, tackle, wide receiver. You got to figure something out here again. If Maui Noah, Fano, if you're projecting them to eventually be a guard at the NFL level, is that really worth the 6th overall pick? there's a lot for the Browns to figure out here before April. So don't let anybody fool you into thinking they have it all put together. They got a lot of work to do. And obviously we got top 30 visits starting. There's going to be pro days, a lot of draft stuff coming. So make sure you guys stay tuned for all of that. But thank you, Gabriel, for the voicemail. I do want to see you in the Discord in that Tim Couch jersey. So let's make that a priority. Let's make that happen here soon. All right, so it looks like I got one last voicemail, and it is from Claude. Yet again, second voicemail today from our boy Claude.
Hey, gang. Claude from Erio. Just saw Stephon Diggs got released from the Patriots. What do you think about that? I feel like that's something that will be on the Browns' radar because he's the type of player I feel like the Browns kind of go after. What are your thoughts? Go Browns, woof woof.
No. I don't want anything to do with Stephon Diggs. No. Nope, done. The dude is toast in the NFL. Done with Stephon Diggs. No, I don't even know what else to say. I'm just no, absolutely not. No way in hell. Nope, no. He's old now, and he's got his off-field issues. He is constantly in like court and with all the stuff going on. Just nope, not worth dealing with. Not the type of older veteran we want to add to any room on our roster, let alone the wide receiver room. So nope, I'm good. Hard pass on Stephon Diggs. His career, for all intents and purposes, is over. If he plays this, upcoming season, it's going to be on a cheap deal somewhere, and he'll probably end up getting cut through training camp or, after the first month of the season. It's just that's what we see for these type of players at this stage in their career when they start to get in trouble off the field. And that just, nope. You got a Super Bowl team who doesn't have any good wide receivers, really. They definitely don't have like a wide receiver one or a wide receiver two really on their team. And they're cutting him. Yeah, we don't need that mess on the Browns in Cleveland. So thanks for that last voicemail, Claude. That's a no for me on Stephon Diggs. I guess if you guys disagree, if you guys out there listening, watching want Stephon Diggs, let me know in the comments. Tell me why. But otherwise, I think we can find other receivers to help out this unit in 2026. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, happy Friday. Enjoy the weekend coming up. We'll be coming back with you guys more episodes next week talking about free agency. The Browns are going to be finally signing players for this roster. We're going to get an idea of how things are going to look in 2026. Go to jointhedogs.com if you want to be part of the Discord. Join the Dog Pack community over there. Love to see you guys. Come hang out. Great to meet you, talk to you, do all that kind of stuff. So that's jointhedogs.com. Thank you guys for all the voicemails, messages. Let me know what you think of Mock Draft 5.0 in the comments. Tell me how I did. Tell me what you would have done differently and all that kind of stuff. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at The Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by ISSA. Browns fans, if you're into health and fitness, have you ever wondered how you could maybe turn those hobbies and your passion into an actual career? If that sounds interesting to you, then ISSA has the opportunity you've been looking for. ISSA is the International Sports Science Association, and they can help you become a certified personal trainer in as little as 3 months. And right now you can get $100 off your certification when you sign up through our link, joinissa.com/dogs, DAWGS. Now, certifications are 100% online, self-study, and self-paced. You can study anywhere from your phone, tablet, or computer. And the final exam is open note, open book, aka piece of cake. Except you fitness nuts probably don't eat a ton of cake, so let's just call it a piece of delicious protein bar. And ISSA has the #1 job guarantee in the industry. If you get certified and sign up to be a certified trainer with ISSA, you have a job guarantee or your money back. ISSA has over 10,000 gym partners that have over 73,000 open jobs for trainers right now. And you don't